you, and thank you very much, Dr. Malpani, for the opportunity. It's a real pleasure to be here. As Anju said, what I do is surgery on the stomach and intestines for patients who are morbidly obese. And I think I'm in the uniquely privileged position that I'm now able to divide my time between the UK and Bombay, which is home. So it was particularly exciting for me to be asked to talk on this issue, because it's something I deal with really now on a day-to-day basis. So what are really the issues that are of importance to us globally as far as healthcare is concerned? And I'm intentionally not going to deal with the attributes of doctors, because we'll find the good, the bad, and the indifferent wherever we go all over the world. But rather, and Dr. Datta dealt with this earlier, I'm going to talk about systems, because I think systems are something which are universal, and systems are something which we can extrapolate and we can adopt wherever we come across them. I want to restrict myself to talking about three important issues that are particularly relevant in terms of transferring learning abilities between the United Kingdom and India. The first is cost. I think cost is something which is of global relevance, whether it is the Obama healthcare plan about which we hear so much, whether it is the huge economic deficit in UK and European countries, and in India where the realities are perhaps more stark. As far as the United Kingdom is concerned, as many of you will know, the majority of healthcare is provided through the National Health System, the NHS, whereby at the point of access, there is no direct cost involved at all to the patient. It is entirely free from cradle to grave. And one of the important issues in which this skews perception, particularly of the doctors, is that you do not think about cost, of what is the cost going to be involved. And the fallout of this is colossal waste in the National Health Service. It's a running tap. As a surgeon, you get into this mentality of saying, okay, open up something else. If it's not used, throw it into the bin. Whether it's going to cost £2,000 is irrelevant. And a large part of that reason is that as an individual doctor, there is very little penalty or reward for being cost effective. That just does not fit into the equation. On the other hand, particularly in urban India, the majority of healthcare is privately paid for by the patient at the point of contact. And as a doctor practicing in a city, and I'm going to take Mumbai as the example, you've got to be very cost conscious, cost aware, implying cost effective strategies for your patients who are often working within very tight budgets, is critically important. And I think that is one point, the value for money in terms of transferring skills. There is great scope for the transfer to be from the Indian modes of practice to what happens in the United Kingdom. So that's the first point. That was cost. The second important issue is quality. Quality is of course crucial in medicine as it is in anything else. And I put it to you that quality in medicine, we can look at it in two aspects. We can look at it in terms of the education, training and skills of the doctors and other healthcare staff, because teams are important. And that's what you might be able to refer to as the software. And then there is the hardware. There is the infrastructure, the facilities, the physical being of hospitals, equipment, so on and so forth, which are important. The difficulty is, as an individual patient, and we are all going to be in the position of patients, very much as you said, with your mother earlier on. How do you make the choice? How do you decide of where you are going to go? The one thing in the UK where the advantage comes in is that the National Health Service, because it is overarching, provides a framework. It provides a standardization in terms of the training that is given to doctors, healthcare staff, in terms of the facilities which are available, in terms of continuing appraisal, revalidation of doctors and medical staff. And what that does is it sets a bar beneath which things very rarely drop. You will have the occasional centers of excellence. In general, you may have mediocrity, but very rarely does it descend into chaos and danger. That does not happen. India, on the other hand, particularly a place like Mumbai, is the land of extremes. You've got the brilliant guys, you've got the wonderful facilities which are going to rival any center that you might find in the UK or in the US. On the other hand, you will find extremes of deprivation in terms of provision of healthcare. It is the extreme of extreme heat to extreme cold. And my thought on this is that it is not only related to poverty, lack of resource, deprivation. It is to a large extent related to the fact that we as doctors, and I think we've got to accept the responsibility for this, that we do not have a reference point that we can readily relate to. What is the reference point that I, as a surgeon practicing in Bombay, can relate to as what is the gold standard for me? That is lacking. So I think as far as the issue of quality is concerned, an important part is assurance of a basic minimum standard. And I think that the United Kingdom, largely because of having a nationalized health system, has worked out very well. And I think there are very important lessons that we need to learn from that model of assuring basic minimum standards to our patients and to ourselves. It is what you referred to earlier on as the emotional value that we get, or the emotional payment that we get from this. And I think for us to get that, getting a basic quality standard is so very important. The third issue that I'd like to touch upon is communication. And communication is vital, in whatever we do, more so in medicine. That, you've got to have the connect, the communication with your patient. In the United Kingdom, in my experience there over the last 15 years, things have changed enormously from the point of view of the fact that you're dealing with a traditional paternalistic model where the doctor was the parent, the patient was the child, you dealt with it